Welcome back to another Future Medicine with your host, Dr. Dave. Thank you again for all the questions you've been submitting to us. We really appreciate it. What I'm here to talk to you about today is the current status of MDMA and sort of where MDMA is going in the future of medicine, the future of mental health. So we've been talking about MDMA, the first empathogenic molecule that has been discovered by Sasha Shulgin in the latter half of the 20th century, which induces these states of radical safety, radical empathy, radical non-judgment, self-acceptance that all seem to catalyze or facilitate or speed up the ability for us to heal ourselves and help ourselves heal from severe mental illness, in the case of the FDA trial, specifically PTSD and trauma. So this is really fascinating because the FDA has actually recognized that this medicine is incredibly powerful and that people are actually getting profound healing results from it, which is really exciting. And so what they have done is they've announced through the hard work of Rick Doblin and MAPS, the Multidisciplinary Association of Psychedelic Studies, that MDMA received breakthrough status. So not only has it gone through phase 2 trials with the FDA that were incredibly successful, showing with just 12 weeks of psychotherapy and 3 doses of MDMA spread out over that 12 weeks that 67% of these folks with 17 plus years of treatment-resistant PTSD are no longer meeting diagnostic criteria for PTSD 5 years after just 12 weeks of treatment with no continued treatment. We're also seeing that this has continued in not just people with treatment-resistant PTSD, and so that's so severe, but also less severe forms of PTSD that are not just caused by military trauma. So it seems to be very effective to help facilitate healing from lots of different kinds of trauma. And the results, so MDMA is now in phase 3 trials with the FDA. Because these results from the phase 2 study were so good, MDMA received breakthrough status, which means that its commercialization and our ability as doctors to give it to patients for healing will be accelerated should the results partway through the current trial, the phase 3 trial that's ongoing now, come back similar to what they look like from the phase 2 trial, which it looks like is happening now. And MAPS just published a great update on this, showing that the FDA is very happy with the way these trials are going. So one of the reasons this is so important is because this is really shifting the way that we look at healing from mental illness, as we mentioned earlier, because it brings what we call the locus of control, or the place that we heal from, to inside of us from outside of us. When we take a medicine every day, or we're told that, you have to take these pills every day indefinitely to feel better, and if you stop taking those pills, that you will no longer feel better. What we're telling people is you have to seek something from outside of yourself to feel the way that you want to feel. And that's actually a really damaging thing to tell people, because if we don't explain to them that the whole point of the medicine is to learn how to feel good on their own, learn how to heal on their own, then effectively what we're telling people is you have to rely on something outside of yourself, which makes them dependent on the health system and dependent on the medicine, not self-dependent or self-reliant, which is what MDMA therapy teaches. So psychedelic therapy in general also teaches these principles. So these are really fascinating opportunities for us to explore how MDMA brings healing, the locus of control of healing, back to the individual, back to the patient, the client who is suffering in that moment, helping the client recognize through the combination of the medicine and the therapy how they can use their own skills, their own abilities to heal themselves, to heal ourselves, and to heal our communities. And it helps us recognize that we actually have a lot more control over how safe we feel in the moment and how well we feel at most of the time. And there's lots of different things that we can do to improve the way that we feel in the moment. For example, breathing. And we talk about breath work and some of these other techniques, meditation, using technology like Apollo. All of these things help restore balance in our bodies over time and help us to become stronger and more emotionally, mentally, physically resilient and better adapters to stress. I really want to thank Rick Doblin and MAPS for all the hard work they've put in to commercialize and do this incredible research on MDMA with a lot of struggle and a lot of pushback, and they've been working on this since before 1986. I mean, that's a long time to put into this project, and it's really starting to show incredible results, and people are getting better, people are healing, and in some cases, people are getting close to what we call a cure for mental illness. And this is really, really exciting for the future for us to have these kinds of tools in our toolbox. I also want to thank Tim Ferriss and Joe Green, two people who have put an incredible amount of effort over the last several years into helping privately and publicly fund this research on MDMA and psilocybin for healing from PTSD and depression, respectively. We have a show on the new Clubhouse app, myself and Dr. Molly Maloof, where we talk about psychedelic medicines, how they work, what they do, and all the latest and greatest things going on in the fields of neuroscience and psychiatry, psychology research to inform everyone. And we were pleased to have Joe Green join us a couple weeks ago. We had a great conversation about the current status of MDMA, and we'll have Tim Ferriss actually joining us this week on Friday at 2:30 Eastern to talk about the latest updates from his perspective as somebody who has really changed the game for investment in research by really diversifying where money comes from, and how when we diversify where the money comes from for research, that we can actually change the kinds of research that's done. Traditionally, most of the money came from the government. Now there's a lot of money that can come from private sources, other nonprofits and things of that nature. So thank you both so much for all the hard work you've done, and we look forward to continuing to help support all of this great movement towards the future of medicine.